Hello and welcome back to the Chetake podcast, where I discuss media in the forms of reviews and topical discussions. I'm your host, Drinking Thomas Hughes, and today, obviously this wasn't the original planned episode. I originally planned to talk about Doom and Dark Ages with Connor. To be honest, it's a mixture of I never got a chance to message him to say you're awake, because obviously when we spoke about doing this a few days ago, he basically was like, as I'm awake, I'll do it. Because we both pretty much finished the game and wanted to talk about it. But that kind of went out the window. And I wouldn't mind talking about it, but at the same time, I'd rather have Connor here to talk about it with, because he's the Doom fan than I am. Don't get me wrong, love the new trilogy, but obviously he knows a bit more of the finer details than I do, so it feels wrong not to do it with him. So that's why I'm kind of skipping it and just going with the flow here and seeing what we've got to talk about. And obviously plenty of films have been coming out lately, and a lot of them are slaying at the box office right now. The likes of Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible made a killing over the past weekend. Went to see both, loved both. Was debating about talking about them too, but for one, Mission Impossible I saw over a week ago now. I saw it on a preview showing, which was on like a Wednesday, so my memory of that is a shot at the moment. And obviously Lilo and Stitch I saw on a Friday, so again, been quite a few days between now and then, so I was like, okay, I need something else. What have I got here? And I was like, well, I watched the film last night, let's just fucking talk about that. Simple as that. And that film was Congo, which was released in 1995 and was based on the novel by Michael Crichton, obviously the author of Jurassic Park, because this film is one of those attempts at where you've had obviously a film come out pretty big, but obviously the guy who was the source material for it has got like this obviously other ideas, and it's like, okay, why don't we just cash in on the hype? People going, oh, we just saw Jurassic Park, obviously a couple of years prior. It's like, okay, that was like this really big deal. So what if we try and get people to go and watch another one of these books, another one of these adventure ones? But of course it didn't. Well, he's never gonna hit as hard as Jurassic Park, because I don't think even the book Congo is as big as Jurassic Park. But I have actually read the book. Well, listened to the book. I listened to the audible version of it, which was an interesting listen. So I have seen the film and read the books, when obviously there's a lot of changes between both source materials. Like Jurassic Park, there's a lot of tweaks to make it more into a movie, to obviously get rid of stuff that isn't really necessary. So obviously I'm not really going to talk about that, because again, it's been a long time since I listened to the book. When was the last time I listened to the book? It was a good couple of years ago, I think it was. It was one of the early books, I think, when I started getting to listen to audiobooks on a frequent basis. So I think I'd say it was an early one. But obviously I've grew up watching this film over the years. Like Jurassic Park, it's one of those ones that I've grew up with, and I generally have fond memories with. Yeah, it's not as good as Jurassic Park, but it's still a fun little adventure movie that focuses on killer apes. And I feel like one of the things that I will give credit for this movie is that they utilize more practical effects for the apes rather than going digital. Since with this, compared to Jurassic Park, if you look at obviously that, yeah, you can go practical with the dinosaurs, but there's only so much of an extent you can go with, especially when you look at the much more bigger dinosaurs like the T-Rex. It's only really, if you think about it, stuff like the smaller ones, like raptors and dinosaurs along that line, that they could probably go practical with. Again, to an extent. Obviously now that we've seen them fucking utilize a lot more digital and practical combined with a lot of those movies. So they utilize a lot more of the close-up shots usually are practical, and then the zoomed out shots are more digital. The ones with more dinosaurs are usually more digital. But this one, obviously they don't, because they go with more people in suits, which obviously, yeah, you can tell. You're watching it, for the main ape, for example, Amy, you can tell it's just a performer in a suit. But I'm not going to hate on that, because especially if you look at, because I don't know what the budget on this one was. Obviously, it probably wasn't as big as the budget as Jurassic Park. So the CGI budget wouldn't have been massive for it. They wouldn't have obviously gone all out like they did with Jurassic Park. So it might obviously the apes probably wouldn't have looked as good. So obviously going the practical route was obviously the more wiser decision. Because yes, there is a couple of shots of CGI in this. Don't get me wrong, there are a couple of shots, especially during the final act. But that's more of the stuff like lava and just like little shits, stuff like that. Little bits and bobs, I should say, not little shits like that. Little bits and bobs. But obviously this one, as well as the apes, I know there's practical effect. They use practical for the hippo attack scene, which is in, which obviously sees a boat getting attacked by a hippo. Which obviously the hippo itself was this really massive animatronic, which is pretty cool. It's cool that they went, okay, it's again, they could have easily gone digital with that and just had it, because it's not a massive, obviously a huge drawn out sequence. It's obviously it is prior to the attack. It's more obviously it's drawn out in the sense of there's something there, what's going on. But when it obviously actually hits, it's not a massive drawn out sequence like a lot of these ones with the apes. So they could have easily probably just gone, okay, just have like some random digital creation here, and then that's it, done. But I'm happy they actually went, okay, let's just make a fucking hippo. Let's create this huge ass animatronic hippo, which does look really good. But yeah, obviously this movie, it got a lot of hate. I mean, if you look at the IMDb score, it's like 5.3 out of 10. Obviously, if you click the meta score, most of the reviews are negative. There's one like really positive one, but most of them are pretty negative. And if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, I'll get this up real quick. Congo. Its score is, if my internet decides to load, which it's not doing it at the moment. I'll get back to that one. Oh, here we go. Its score is 23 and 29%, respectfully. So it's obviously one of those ones where it got a lot of negative, which I can understand at times, but it's one of those ones where, again, growing up with it, it's got that nostalgic feel to me, where obviously I can go back and rewatch it whenever I want. Yeah, it's not amazing, but it's still a pretty entertaining film. I think realistically, the only part I didn't like, there's a scene where obviously the apes are attacking and it's very choppy. The camera work is obviously, they're trying to do a lot more of slow motion, and it's just really like disorientating. That's the only real part I'd say I really don't like. But other than that, I really enjoyed the characters in this. There's a bunch of really cool characters. There's an interesting plot of them trying to find, well, one of them's trying to find King Solomon's mine, one of them's trying to find an expedition that's been lost, one's trying to help her find that expedition that's been lost, and then one's just trying to take his, obviously, science project, Amy, obviously the gorilla, one of the main protagonists of this movie, back home. So it's one of those ones where there's multiple motivations from these characters, and they've all got their pros and cons of characters. I mean, Ernie Hudson's the best character in this movie. He just rocks up and he's just like, doesn't get into shits. It's like, yeah, I'll carry this gorilla on my back and just like, jump out of a plane. Ernie Hudson, love him, absolutely love him. From his role in Ghostbusters to his role in the Crow. Yeah, he was in the Crow. He was in the first one, wasn't he? But yeah, so I mean, if you look at this cast, I mean, you've got Laura Linney, Tim Curry, Dylan Walsh, Ernie Hudson, and that's obviously all the main sort of crew. And I mean, you even have a cameo from Bruce Campbell. I feel like that's another reason I love this movie, because I absolutely love Bruce Campbell. And there's another negative I will put out. Obviously, the character that Dylan Walsh plays, obviously Amy is obviously Guardian, essentially. That role, obviously, Bruce Campbell auditioned for and didn't get it. I was just like, I'm happy we got him, but I really wish we got more of him in this movie. I really wish that he got that role instead, because, come on, it's Bruce Campbell. I would have loved this movie. His movie would have been 10 out of 10 if he was in that role, but the short time he has in the opening sequence of this movie, he does absolutely kill it. I say most of them do. Tim Curry's quite funny in this, obviously playing the sort of mysterious role, which is very villainous, with how he's clearly lying to everyone with his intentions, and obviously his real motivations of why he wants to take Amy, why he wants to fund this expedition, take Amy back to the Congo. But still, I say Practicals look decent. It's got an interesting story. Got a good set of characters. Really great cast. I just don't understand too much of the hate for it. Yeah, it's not amazing, but as far as like these sort of adventure movies that obviously are killer animal movies, the only real thing is maybe you could have had more of the killer apes, but that kind of takes the mysteriousness away from it because obviously you got this opening where someone's attacked obviously this expedition, killed them all, and all you really see is like a quick flash of something running across the screen. You're like, okay, uh, that's an ape, but you're just like, it's the mysteriousness of what's obviously what exactly is it? Because as they keep pointing out, obviously, what happened there wouldn't normally happen. It's like, okay, what's going on here? So obviously, it's drawn out to when they finally get to the actual place where the apes actually obviously come out and start attacking, and showing obviously how smart they are, how tactical they can be. Because obviously, the whole sequence where they've got a whole how do I put this? They got obviously. Oh, fuck it. They've got turrets. Let's just go with that. I was gonna say they got obviously perimeter. That's the word I'm after here. They got a whole perimeter set up with obviously turrets, motion sensors and stuff like that. And as soon as obviously they sense anything around them, the turrets will go off and start firing. Obviously, these apes, you get to watch them test this out and see exactly what these things are gonna do. And it's a whole interesting sequence of watching the characters go to town, fucking go full Rambo on these fucking apes, which is a really fun watch. And obviously, it kind of makes sense that you wouldn't get more of the apes. The only way you could probably get more is if there's someone already there, and you obviously following someone maybe who survived the first expedition, and the apes are still hunting them. That's the only really way you could have probably had apes a bit earlier than the last act, because obviously they've got to get to this location. The apes are only in this location. It's not like the apes are obviously these specific apes, I should say, the ones I dubbed obviously the killer apes. It's not as if they're all over this jungle. They're just specifically by King Solomon's mine. So it's the case of, well, they can't go anywhere but here. This is it. So you're always gonna know that all the carnage by these monsters, that's always going to be when they get there, which obviously is towards the back end of the movie, because obviously it's more about how they get in there, obviously going through obviously a dangerous time in obviously the region. The point of obviously they arrive on a plane, they meet obviously a guy who is I don't think he's in the actual credits because he's not actually credited for this movie, because from what actually IMDb Shepman is uncredited. Yeah, there we go. Joe Pantoliano, who obviously most recently was in The Last of Us, which was a really fun little cameo role from him. But obviously, I know him from Bad Boys, and The Goonies, obviously. And he's obviously no shy to killer animal movies because he did the last attempt at a Lake Placid movie. And obviously, he obviously comes to meet them in the airport, and as they're moving, obviously, like a car blows up behind them, and there's obviously armed soldiers running around, and it's just like, okay, what the fuck's going on here? You're seeing planes getting shot out of the sky, so it's like a very dangerous time in this region. So even before they get to obviously the actual dangerous part where the killer apes are, they've got to go through a very dangerous territory where at any moment they could get shot, they could get blown up, which is obviously why there's a whole sequence of them having to obviously leap out a plane because they're getting shot at by turrets. So it's more the case of the build up to that's obviously this big actual final act. It's more about obviously can they actually get there, which is pretty interesting to watch. It's pretty interesting to see them try and navigate this dangerous area that they don't know anything about. And then on top of that, when they actually get to land, they've got to obviously then trek all the way to said location where, as I say, hippos are there, other wildlife, which you don't get to see too much of, but maybe they could have obviously added something like other wildlife attacking them. Maybe that would have added a bit more stakes to it before they got there. But I say it just saves a lot of the actual action for the final act, which I say it kind of makes sense since the apes are just there. But still, when you get to that, obviously, yeah, you get that really choppy sequence. But when you get rid of that choppy sequence, it's actually a pretty solid, obviously, scary moments where these apes are literally just destroying everything in their sights. I mean, there's multiple moments where you're like, what the fuck? Like, for example, one the moments that set the stakes. One I can think of is in the opening when Bruce Campbell's with obviously this guy. He's like, obviously when they find this secret area, obviously Bruce Campbell's just chilling, eating his chocolate bar. This guy's run off to get his bag, and next minute something gets thrown at Bruce Campbell. And if I'm being perfectly honest, when I first watched it, when I watch it, even now when I watch it and I haven't seen it for a while, I still think it was the apes throwing shit at him. And especially since he's eating, that would have been hilarious. I'm going, what the fuck? But obviously it's not, it's an eyeball, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here? And then obviously you just get the whole Bruce Campbell screaming, and that kind of like sets the stakes and of what's going on here. And then later on, you see like a head come rolling down some stairs, and he's just like, Jesus Christ, these apes are fucking vicious. And they're that vicious that even when you're not fully dead, obviously any sort of sight of any ape can cause you literally just to fucking, that's it, you're done. Because the whole scene where this guy just panics from seeing a non-vicious ape, and that's it. Essentially, kind of just like his life's just like, yep, bye. And it just shows you how dangerous these apes are, how terrifying they can be. That they can just, the thought of one of them coming to get you after you've already survived an encounter can just cause you to just go like that. So it's pretty interesting. As I say, it's just one of those films where I feel like, because I've grown up with it and seen it multiple times over the years, I just kind of have this little love for it, and it's not one that I absolutely hate. It's one I've obviously I found pretty entertaining. Yeah, again, it's no Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, but it's still an interesting adventure. Trying to think what else I can say about this movie, really. Can't really think of much else I want to say. My mind is just trying to figure out a way to get more out of this episode. It's like, where can I go with this? Because I can't fucking think of anything where to go with this. But like, okay, that's where I go with it. If I look at, because obviously I do have many lists on Letterboxd where I obviously store a lot of my movie watches. Obviously, this would be on my killer animal list with the movies. Well, when animals attack, I should say, with movies like Jaws, Crawl, Rogue, Anaconda, Lake Placid. Some of the other ones I absolutely fucking love. This at the moment is literally like in my top 20. It just about hits the top 20. I've got it down as, yes. Did I get that right in that? At the moment, it is at number exactly 20, but I'm just like questioning one of my other movies on this list, because I swear, maybe not. I don't know. So yeah, at the moment it's like at number 20, but I'm looking at some of the other ones that are just above it, and I could easily argue myself about pushing it up. It definitely wouldn't push it down, because some of these movies I got down underneath, I'm just like, nah, I'd prefer to watch this over them. But as I say, I'm looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 at least that are above this. I'm just like, yeah, I could argue with myself about moving these around a bit, because this movie, as I say, it's that nostalgicness to me of growing up watching this movie multiple times that does help it overcome some of these other ones. But still, as I say, it's got some comedy as well. Well, that's another thing I'll point out. It is quite funny at times, especially obviously with Amy. The fact that obviously she's a talking gorilla, not in the sense of if you've not seen this, I'll say not in the sense of she generally just talks. It's more the case of she's got a device on her arm that obviously when she signs, it speaks what she's saying, which is pretty interesting. And obviously it can lead to multiple funny moments with her. Specifically with Laura Linney's character, when she keeps referring to her as an ugly woman, and obviously her obviously trying and literally has to keep going, yes, ugly woman, and she's just like, what the fuck? And he's like, I'll explain later. And like later on, he's literally like, oh, I apologize for calling you an ugly woman, because it's literally just for her. She just does not like you whatsoever. And then there's like another scene when she's like drinking a martini, which is fucking hilarious. There's a scene when Ernie Hudson lights a smoke and she comes over, like looks at him in his face, and you're thinking, is the case if she's probably telling him to put it out? Nope. She just wants to smoke, and she's sitting there with the smoke in her mouth, and they're like, don't inhale it, and she's like, and I'm just like, fuck's sake, this ape is hilarious. But yeah, obviously she's a standout, and I give credit where credit's due there, because it was fucking hilarious. Yeah, you can tell it's clearly just like a performer in a suit, but there's some generally funny moments, some generally really heartwarming moments with her as well, especially when she's trying to protect Peter multiple times, when she's like standing between him and certain death. It's heartwarming to see the bond that they've grown over these years, with him obviously helping her sign and taking care of her. It just tugs the heartstrings. And yeah, as I say, it's one of those ones as well. I can't really think of many other movies that focus on killer apes. The only one that really comes to mind off the top of my head was, I think it was a movie called Blood Monkey, which is part of the Man-Eater series. Like, it's like a huge ass series of low budget horror movies, which would be interesting. Like, I think I could do for the podcast if they're like each episode be focused on one of the movies or something along that line. Something I might look into, actually. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that is like that I've watched, at least, with a killer ape idea, but that one was not as good, despite the fact it had Matt Ryan, aka Constantine, aka Edward Kenway. Despite the fact that it had him in it, it was one of those ones where it's very clearly made on the cheap. But off the top of my head, I'm looking for my list right now. That's the only one really I can think of that focuses on sort of a killer ape idea. But as I say, at least this one, it kind of goes down the route of, it's not just a horror movie, it's an adventure movie. Because the horror part, really, as I've been honest, is the opening and the ending. The middle part is the adventure part. So yeah, pardon me, sorry. Let's give this rating out of 10. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's just that nostalgic feel to me is what keeps this high. And as I rewatched it last night, and I still really enjoyed it. Because, I mean, I sat down last night to watch it in the background. Because, as I say, this wasn't even the episode for today. It's something I was like, okay, put it in the background. I'm going to do some writing. And try and get some inspiration from me. That's what I've been doing. I pretty much did all weekend. So I did. I basically had an Australian night the night before. I did Rogue and Bait back to back. Bait first, then Rogue. And obviously I was trying to just carry on writing my book, because I'm at a point in my book where I've hit that wall where I just can't go any further, and it's pissing me off, because I want to finish this story, because I know there's a good story in there, and I know for a fact I've got some good ideas for follow-ups to that story, and I was like, okay, I need to get through this first before I touch them. And I just, even now when I'm watching stuff for inspiration, I'm still not getting as much as I would like to get done. So it's just a case of, obviously, I'll put it on the background. I was like, okay, I'll listen to it mainly, glance at certain scenes, but I'm going to try and fully write. And as I say, I just straight up hit that wall, and then in the process of hitting that wall, I was watching, obviously, the start of it, and I was like, damn, I forgot how good this movie was. And I stripped my laptop down and sat back and watched the movie. I was like, no, I'm watching this. I can't not watch it. Um, and obviously, I was when I finished watching, I was reading some of the trivia on IMDb, and some of the diamond they're going after in this movie. Obviously, the ones they had were obviously loaned from an actual museum. And during the last shot of the movie, they throw it off a hot air balloon, and obviously they actually lost that diamond. They got it on loan and fucking lost it, and I find that kind of humorous. But I would say when you're reading the trivia, it clearly states that this was them going, okay, Jurassic Park did really well. What if we try and adapt another Crichton book? From what I was reading, they were trying to adapt it for fucking years, and Jurassic Park was the point of it pushed them to actually go ahead and do it. But as I say, sadly, it just didn't hit as hard when it came out. And I don't, off the top of my head, I don't think it's got a cult following like some of these old ones that do really bad back when they first come out. I don't think this one's got a cult following. I wish it did, because I say it is a fun little movie, but you know, it is what it is. I can't think of anything else to say really. This is why I wanted to do Doom 1, because at least then I could have gone back and forth with Connor over and over again. Which, by the way, the new Doom game is actually fucking outstanding. Such a blast. I bashed through it within less than a week, and I got to the point of I started playing it and just I couldn't put it down during the end, and it kind of fucked me up sleep wise. I was like, I need a nap. Didn't happen because I just got so addicted to it. Realized way too late what time it was. And I was like, shit. And I suffered I paid the price basically for it, but it was worth it. That's what I will say. So yeah, that's all I can really think of. So obviously, if you've seen Congo, put your thoughts on the film in the comments below. If you've read the book, put your thoughts on that as well. And obviously, which do you prefer, the book or the film? Simple as that. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, do go check it out. It is worth a watch. You may enjoy it, you may not. It's just, as always, it's a matter of opinion. But say I'll always enjoy this movie. It's just fun. I mean, anything with Bruce Campbell, and even if it's a small role, it's a thumbs up from me. So yeah, obviously you can check out the podcast on Apple Podcast, Audible, Spotify, etc., etc. Obviously you can check the video out as well on YouTube. So obviously that's where obviously my mom just decided to text me randomly, and it just distracted me because my ADHD brain just kicked in and started reading the text before it faded from my screen. But yeah, obviously you can check out the video on YouTube. You have all my other content, including the reviews Hayden and I did on the Jurassic Park series. We obviously covered the Jurassic JP trilogy, and we covered the Jurassic World trilogy, and we also did the brief review on the short film. Obviously, I'll try and cover Rebirth when it comes out, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And obviously, you've also got all my other gaming videos, which are always entertaining watch. Obviously, within the next month, I do want to try and sit down and re-review another, obviously, movie adaptation of a book, because obviously Jaws is celebrating 50 years this year, and specifically, I know its US release was the 20th of June, 2025. It's in the UK. I looked and it was like a Christmas release. I was like, fuck, Jaws was a Christmas movie for us. But still, I want to try and get the movie re-reviewed, because I did it. One of the first ever podcasts I did was based on Jaws, way back in 2020, and I was like, okay, I want to try and sit back and review it with the new format of just talking about everything else, rather than how I did it back then, which was obviously when I did like kind of went scene by scene in the movie and kind of just spoke about everything. I kind of want to actually do a proper review on it rather than that. So that's something I'm going to be looking into doing. Not saying it will happen, but I'm hoping it is. My fingers are crossed on that. And other than that, yeah, I feel like that covers everything. So obviously, yeah. I will see you on the next episode then. So until then, I do hope you've enjoyed my review on Congo. My spoiler-free-ish. I wouldn't say spoiler. There wasn't really massive details on characters that died, so that's spoiler-free enough for me. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
If you like what you've seen, don't be afraid to throw us a little like and subscribe. That's always very appreciated over here. And, well, I'll see you on the next video.